You're listening to Docs Outside the Box, episode 12.
Welcome to Docs Outside the Box podcast. This is your official show, looking inside the minds of cutting-edge and innovative doctors. Think you'll find these stories in any medical textbook? Sorry. You're getting real-life insight from men and women pushing the envelope beyond medicine. Ordinary doctors doing extraordinary things. Let's start now with your host, Dr. Renee Darko.
Welcome back to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Renee Darko. And if you hear noise in the background, that's because I am recording right next to the express tram here in Detroit Metro Airport as I'm waiting for my flight to go from Detroit to Las Vegas for a course that I'm going to be taking. And it's September 30th. It's been about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks since my last podcast. And I did promise to you all that I will get 2 podcasts out a month. And I don't want to break that promise to you all. So I am recording here, giving you all what you want. So please excuse the noise in the background. Everybody's looking at me all crazy as I'm sitting here on the ground with my computer and my microphone recording. I also have the sniffles, so just like Donald Trump during the presidential debate, please excuse the sniffles. I got a little bit of a cold. But before we get into our next guest, I want to read to you some of the iTunes reviews that I've been getting. Once again, I want to thank you all for those who have put great reviews, giving me 5-star reviews on iTunes. It really does help the show to grow. So the first one is from Nature Elegance, and she says, "Thank you so much for this podcast. I'm only 2 episodes in, and I'm already so thankful for coming across this podcast." And she puts, "First heard me in the Medical School Headquarters podcast, which is hosted by Ryan Gray. If you guys have not heard the Medical School Headquarters podcast, go ahead and listen." But she goes on to say, "You have no idea what it means to me to hear the stories of successful women of color you have on your show. This podcast is very motivating and is a must-hear for any aspiring physician of color." So Nature Elegance, thank you very much. I really appreciate you submitting your review and putting your heartfelt words. It really does help me to grow. It really does inspire me. So thank you very much. The next one is from Amiko Kobayashi. It says, "Great idea to highlight innovative physicians. We should all live outside the box." That's right. Amiko, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then the last review I have is from Rely 8DC. I'm not sure if I've read this one before, but I don't think so. But it's from Rely 8DC. It says, "It would be such a disservice since the topics that you discuss are so important and interesting. In fact, I think an hour to even an hour and a half would be perfect. It's so nice to hear doctors act and talk like regular folks, as well as express the same concerns as those outside the medical field." So Relate 8DC, thank you very much for your input. I do appreciate what you're saying. Yes, the show did start out initially around an hour to an hour and 10 hour and 15 minutes, but based off of the reviews that I've been getting, and I know the attention span of people, most people are looking for a show that's in the 30 to 45 minute range. So we'll see. But right now I would not I would not count on the show going back to that long. Okay. But look, let me quickly segue to my next guest. My next guest for this show is going to be Dr. Renee Matthews, or as many of her followers know her as, Dr. Renee. She is the popular YouTube host of the show, the Ask Dr. Renee Show. Dr. Renee Matthews did her undergrad at Michigan State University and graduated from medical school from the St. Christopher's Medical School in England. After facing some difficulty with trying to get into an OB-GYN residency, Dr. Renee decided not to mourn, not to mope, but she actually pivoted and focused on a bigger dream of hers, which was talking about medicine to the masses. And she talks about this during an interview. Through the power of networking, she was able to parlay herself onto XM radio. And she says she was just one channel away from the Oprah Winfrey Show channel. And she also had an appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And through all of that, those struggles and networking opportunities that have gotten her from one opportunity to another opportunity, she's now a very well sought after media personality and expert. She's a blogger, she's a national speaker, and now she's also a social media guru where she coaches physicians on how to master the new media format, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and allows physicians to really stand out from the crowd. Her work is all over. You can find her work on Madame Noir, on blackdoctor.org, Ebony Magazine, WGN, News One, Good Enough Mother. I can keep going on. So things that I want you to pick up from this episode, there are a lot of good things. One is take a listen to her plans to transition the Ask Dr. Renee show from YouTube to television. Number two, this is really important, is we're going to talk about why it's so important for doctors to embrace social media. And since it's so important, how is that going to allow physicians to really differentiate themselves from the pack? Also, as you will get to hear, she's got a lot going on. I get to ask her what's her best productivity life hack that you all can learn from. And then number 4, as usual, we're going to find out why she's not just a doc. So look, without further ado, I want to introduce you all to Dr. Renee Matthews. Welcome back to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am so happy and excited to have Dr. Renee from the Ask Dr. Renee Show. Before we get into too much of the specifics about you, Dr. Renee, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so I am from a suburb of Detroit, Farmington Hills, Michigan, and I went to undergrad at Michigan State University, and then I went overseas for med school. And it was funny because when I first got to state, I went to a career fair thing or something, and they had people from the school overseas, and I was like, oh, and I picked up the information. I told my mom. My mom's like, oh, not a good idea. Well, my mother, fast forward, my mother's a respiratory therapist, and she was the director of the department, and she would teach the medical students respiratory, and the students, most of them came from the school. And then she found out that the head of cardiology at her hospital was from the same school. So she, when I was about to apply to med school, was like, perhaps you should apply here. They have rolling admissions. How soon?
That's the same school I was interested in.
So it was so funny. I was like, Mom, how funny. This is the same school. But
What school was that?
And then I transferred to St. Christopher's.
Okay. All right. And St. Christopher's, that's in the Caribbean also?
No, England.
In England. Oh, wow. Was that the last 2 years?
Yes. Well, yeah, it was last 3, kind of.
The last 3 years. Okay. What was that like, studying in England?
It was amazing. I always dreamt of going to Italy. I never thought I would live close enough to go regularly. I went to Italy 3 times.
Oh, wow.
It was one.
Now, you went by train or you flew?
I flew.
Okay.
I never did do the channel. One day.
Now, tell us what happened after medical school.
After medical school, I did all of my rotations in the U.S. So I've lived in Chicago for 13 years now. So I came here and did all my rotations, and I was applying to residencies, and I didn't get in, and I was frustrated. But then I knew in the back of my head what I really wanted to do. But my mother is quite the logical thinker. I love her for it. And so she was like, Renee, that's a little far-fetched. So I just kept it to myself and was like, okay, let me try and get into residency. So in the meantime, in between time, I actually worked at a medical malpractice law firm reviewing cases. And then right after I got that job, I ended up getting my own radio show on XM radio at the time. We were one channel from Oprah's channel, ReachMD. And I said, wow, if I could do this, then maybe I could actually do what I always thought I wanted to do. Forget about residency. My very last interview was with Dr. Ian Smith.
I
found out that Dr. Ian went to do internship, and then he decided to turn his path to television. I was like, wait a minute. If he can do it, I can do it. So, and he was great. I interviewed him. I think we did 3 shows that day. And we talked about just like what we're talking about, kind of outside of the box careers for medicine. We talked about how do you become the expert consultant on TV shows such as ER, Grey's Anatomy, etc. This was before Grey's Anatomy, though. But you know what I'm saying. And then what was the third one? The third one was about the 50 million man challenge that he had. 50 million pound challenge he had. So it was really great. And I was just like, oh, and that was like the pinnacle of my whole career was that I just wanted to talk to this man. So I was so excited. So after that, I decided, you know what, forget this residency thing. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. And I had a contact in television here who had been on TV news for a long time. And so she sat me down and was like, how can I help you? And I was like, well, this is what I want to do. And she said, okay, well, then that's what we're going to do. And then slowly, like shortly thereafter, I met Melody Hobson, and I told her I wanted to be the medical version of her. And she was like, okay, talk to my assistant. We'll set up some time to talk. And I honestly thought she was just saying that, but she wasn't. She was serious. And we did talk. And she told me what I needed to do, and I started doing it. And then every time something comes up, I always email her assistant and let her know. And she emails me back and says, oh, Melody said, and I get so excited. And then Melody, you know, they live in Chicago, so I see her regularly, probably a couple times a year. She knows who I am, and she's like, I see you're doing your thing. I said, thank you. And so that's kind of how it all came to be.
You refer to it as doing what you want to do. Tell us, what is it exactly? What is it?
I wanted to be just like Dr. Nancy Snyderman on Good Morning America. I just wanted to be the medical version, like I said, of Melody Hobson. I wanted to talk about medicine to the masses in media.
When did you realize you wanted to do this?
Okay, so Dr. Nancy Snyderman, you know, she was fired from the Today Show. So she was on Good Morning America when I was a child.
Okay.
That's when I saw her, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
While you were in medical school, you had these thoughts, obviously. Did you always have the thought process that you would go through residency and then eventually kind of branch off and do this lifestyle? Or did you always just kind of say, you know what, residency is not my thing. I want to go off and do medical journalism, something around that path?
So what happened was my mom had convinced me that, you know, we don't know anyone on television, so this is clearly not going to happen. So I just was like, okay, well, I'll just be an OBGYN. That's the only specialty I had interest in.
So that was the residency that you were applying to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, give us a timeline. What year is this happening?
So I graduated in 2005. So in 2007, I think, is when I got the radio show. And
all right, let's go back though real quick to the like, how do you get a radio show that quickly? Like, because you're so like nonchalant about it. Okay, you go from not getting into residency, deciding that that's not the path you want to take, and then just like that, boom, you're on XM satellite radio. How did you do that?
So it's so funny. Everyone has called me the queen of networking, and so I met this man, and God, if you could tell me how I met him, I can't remember. But I met this dentist who had a show on that network. And we sat in his office and chatted, and he said, you're the person that goes to an event and walks in the room, and you will meet whomever the most important person in that room is. You'll walk out with their information. And I was like, yeah, I guess kind of, sort of. So he said, well, I have this radio show. Why don't you come with me to the studio, or meet me at the studio? And he said, I'm sure you'll walk out of there with a show. So he's in the booth recording his show, and I'm in the engineering thing, you know, standing there with the owner of the station. And we just chit-chatted, and he was like, he goes, so Renee, what can I do? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know, just talking to him, just literally chewing the fat. That's how I got.
Wow. Okay. And then since then, the rest is history, basically.
Right. Kind of, sort of.
Now, is there any part of what you do right now clinical? Do you do any clinical medicine at all?
Not at all.
Do you regret that at all?
Not at all. Because I do so much. I also, outside of Ask Dr. Renee, I also have an entertainment media company that I've had for almost 12 years now. And it'll be 12 years next month. And I could never have done all of that stuff and done right by my patients too. Because
congratulations.
I'm at concerts. I'm like, there was one year I literally went to New York, I think 9 times in 1 year. And in 1 week, like in 10 days time, I had flown to New York and back to Chicago twice.
No, that's very impressive. And I appreciate, and I think the audience members will appreciate you being very candid about that. I don't know. Well, you did. We talked before this, and you said you did get a chance to listen to episode 3 with Dreon Birch, Dr. Dre. And I think one of the things
to Dr. Mel, I met her via Periscope. I've never met her in person, but I've met her through Periscope.
The things that I think connect those two, and definitely I can sense from you, is just sense of just being very honest about what you want in life. Loving, with Dr. Dre, his was loving his patients, but loving himself also. And I think that honesty has helped with his success, and it's obviously helping with your success also.
Yes, exactly. Now I will be very honest with you. I work really hard. I probably work 24 hours a day, but I love what I do. And so to me, like, my sister feels like I don't have a job because I love what I do. And it's exciting to me and it's fun. Recently, I went to the Essence Festival. That was work, but I had a great time. I have cute pictures. So.
Now, most people who go to the Essence Festival, I mean, like I said, they're having a good time and stuff, but you're working and you're mixing your work with your pleasure.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's an amazing combination to have. But tell us, is there a difference between your show, Ask Dr. Renee, and your personality of Dr. Renee versus who you really are, Renee Matthews? Is there a difference?
Not at all. So my show, the Ask Dr. Renee Show, is I'm working on my own talk show. And so rather than wait for somebody to come and give me a show, you build it, they will come, right? So that's why I started the show. I needed to expand my reach and show the people that they need to give me a show. And so that's what we're doing. So the Ask Dr. Renee Show is just there to motivate and inspire you to live the life you deserve. And anyone that knows me knows I hate to see people sad. Like, I am the idiot who will see a complete stranger crying and walk up to him and say, what's wrong? Because I just want to fix everything. So I love, that's me. I want everyone to be happy. My hashtag is live life you deserve. Because at the end of the day, I just think everyone should be happy and you should do what you love.
Now, how long has the show been going on?
Since December of 2014.
This is a show that's on YouTube,
yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Exclusively on YouTube.
Yep.
Now, what do you think about YouTube? Because it seems like, when I was in 2004, 2005, I remember YouTube being like this, kind of rogue, website where you can get just kind of viral videos, but it has turned into such a moneymaker, such a power player in terms of fresh content, media, people who want to create content. What do you think about YouTube?
I like it. They said next to Google, YouTube is the largest search engine, which is why I went with Google. Is why I went with YouTube instead of perhaps a Vimeo or some other different streaming platform.
Now, in terms of your field of practice, your field of work, what you're doing right now, do you find that to be lucrative? Is it as lucrative as being a physician? Do you find it to be more lucrative? You don't have to give us specific numbers, and I won't do that, but give us a little bit of a look through window. See how we don't know how you're doing financially. Is it okay?
I just literally went to dinner with a bunch of Black female docs here in Chicago, and I said, you know what? I don't make the big bucks that some of them do, but I also don't have the stress that they do. So I think that it kind of, weighs itself out.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a huge deal. And I'm constantly smiling and people are like, wow. And I'm not overstressed. I don't really worry about things. I think it has a lot to do with my faith. I did work for the blood bank here, Life Source, for almost 6 years. I had a great salary. I had all the wonderful benefits. It was great. And I loved my job. My job was actually eliminated, which is what pushed me towards doing media 24/7. And that was 2013 that happened. And I honestly, the Renee Matthews, the logical human being that I am, I'm a Virgo, I'm a planner. I was about to go get another job. And everyone said, stop, no, you belong on TV. Whatever you have to do to get there, you need to do it now. And so that is how I've been on this faith walk for the last 3 years. So this is by no means the lifestyle I would have chosen for myself, but I do believe that God has chosen me to be the person because I've been told by producers, production companies, that I have a gift of being able to disseminate that health information so that the common man can understand it. I do that through the blogs that I write for, my own blog, and then all the other publications I've written for, Madame Noir, Ebony, etc. I'm able to get it out there so that they understand it, and then they can take that information and they can ask questions and be a more informed patient, which is all I wanted to do in the first place.
Well, one thing I really think is cool on your website, you have reviews of different cars, Kias, and Hyundais and Mazda. How did you get involved in that? That's pretty cool, actually.
That's the whole influencer thing. So, like I said, my whole thing is I want you to literally live the life you deserve. And to do that, you have to make money, save money, spend it right, have to have a career you love, have to have your health, number one. So, encompassing all of that, I love the fact that they give me these cars. At the same time, these cars are eco-safe. They are great on the pocketbook. They have all sorts of bells and whistles that make it a safer ride for you and your family. The way that I, review the cars is I just go, they usually end up, that's the car I drive to the different events I have to go to here in Chicago or wherever I'm at. I'll actually be in Detroit soon, and I'll be driving around Detroit in several different cars. But wherever I'm going, that's how my reviews are based on the things that I experience. And so, like I said, just like on my website, you'll also see I've reviewed different apps. I've reviewed, I talked about how to use LinkedIn correctly. Like, really, that's why it's Ask Dr. Renee. Everyone said I'm a source of information, which is why it's .info. And I just want to help people in all the little facets to make sure that their life is happy.
Now, what's your typical day like?
I get up whenever I get up, and unless I have someplace
So
to
jealous.
be. It's
So
wonderful.
jealous.
So I have an alarm clock set for Sundays because I cannot be late for church. But other than that, I do not have an alarm clock set. I just get up and I get to my computer and I just figure out what do we have to do for the day, and I start punching it out. So I also do social media management and coaching to help other people build their brands and businesses to where I've been. And actually I just started doing that. I was doing social media management for my PR clients, but I didn't start helping people outside of the entertainment realm until last summer via Periscope. People were like, how did you get this? And, the cars, and how did I get in different magazines? How did I get the call for Sway in the Morning? All this different stuff. And so I was like, oh, social media. And they were like, well, you should, can you teach me? How did you? So that's when I started doing that. So I figure out what I need to do for my clients, get that done, what I have to, what deadlines I have to make for myself, because I still have people that I write for on a regular basis. I have to get those articles to them on time. And then usually in the evening, I have some event that I have to attend.
Your clients, how many clients do you have?
We counted recently. I think I only have like 4 right now. Yeah.
Okay. So do you consider this almost like a concierge type client service? Like they have availability to you anytime, or is this like more like a mastermind type of relationship?
No, in the contract, I told them you can call me, text me, whatever hour of the day and night. I don't care. 2 of my clients are twin OBGYNs, and they have crazy hours. They text me and I text.
These are the 2 docs who were on was it The Adventure?
Yep, Amazing Race.
The one on CBS, Amazing Race on CBS,
yes.
Right? I've seen their YouTube channel. It's pretty cool.
And so I know that they have crazy hours, so we text each other. It doesn't matter, morning, noon, or night. We text. If something comes to their mind, something comes to mine, we just text. So.
Now, what's the deal with social media? Why is there such a push for Twitter, push for Periscope? And how is it, or where do physicians fit in that realm? Are we underutilizing it? Can we use it more? Do we even need to use it? Are we behind the times?
I think they're underutilizing it. I think they should use it more. I know my uncle was telling me that his physician, he has an email address that he can email and he can get a response rather than having to page him or, go to the urgent care or go to the ER. He can send an email and it gets responded to in a timely fashion. And I think that that's great. I think that there's, free marketing on the internet that some physicians are missing out on. I see some of my colleagues that are utilizing it, and I'm very happy for them because they are getting the word out about who they are and what services they provide. I think some people go a little extra with it. There is a physician that has been performing plastic surgery on Snapchat, which I think, I just don't think everybody wants to see all that. They featured him on TV, and that's how I found out about him. It was like, one of the news shows or whatever. And I was like, let me find this man. And I was so shocked to see what I was seeing. I was like, oh my God. But, so yeah, I think that, because especially with, insurance being so difficult to get paid, you need to get customers in some kind of way. So, and yes, patients are customers. You need to get them in the door. And I think social media is a great way. My thing is, I've told other physicians, I said, if you don't have a Facebook fan page and I'm trying to refer you a customer, a patient that would legitimately go to you, if I can't tag you on Facebook, that makes it very difficult. Because if I tagged them on Facebook, you would know I tagged you. So then you could follow up with them and say, hey, Dr. Renee, said you were looking for a blah, blah, blah. But if I just hand them your phone number and they never call, well, then, what? I can't give you their number, but I could easily tag you, and then you would see it as well. I've told this to several doctors. I was like, I tried to refer you, but, did they call? And they're like, no. I said, well, see.
No, they always used to say what the revolution will be televised, but nowadays it's like, look, the revolution is on social media now, right? So
and video is king. So if you can do video, let me tell you how I knew it was different. My dentist, she utilizes, well, actually, not even that. What's his name? Mark Zuckerberg, his father's a dentist. Did you know this?
Nope, I didn't know that.
His father created a system for dentists to basically give them content for their Facebook and Twitter, all this kind of, Facebook, I think only. Yeah, to give them content so that if they have a fan page, then they have stuff to upload to it. My friend is a celebrity dentist in New York, and she didn't know either. I was telling her, she said, get out of here. I said, I know, who knew?
And nowadays, you don't necessarily have to recreate the wheel. There's just so many different options available for you.
Exactly. What's
been the feedback from your colleagues who are in medicine, traditional medicine? Has it been positive, negative, indifference?
Everyone's been positive. I've not had any problem. I've not had anyone, I think that everyone says everyone loves Dr. Renee anyway, so I don't know, maybe it's my bubbly personality. I don't know. But all the people
it's infectious. Your personality is infectious.
All the people that I encounter are like, oh, and then the other thing is I am more than happy to help. Anybody that would like to get out of the rat race and would like to join the rankings of those that don't answer to alarm clocks, I am.
Dr. Renee, call me later. Let's talk after. No, I'm teasing.
Right. So I'm just saying, so that's the other thing is that my friends, a lot of them, like, Dr. Dre, when I first met him, he really was not quite the Twitter guru. And there was other things. I forgot. I taught him a lot of little nuggets here and there. So, there's a lot of people that, they were like, what's this? What's that? I remember when Dr. Rachel was getting on Periscope. Dr. Rachel's on the doctors. I'm sure you probably know. And I remember when she was getting on Periscope and I sent her a text, was like, okay, this is what you got to do. Do it this. So I'm always willing to help people. So I think that because I'm, willing to help and I don't know, they don't see me as a threat.
So what can doctors do to make themselves better at social media?
I think some physicians, they're just too busy. So you just need to hire somebody because you're just too busy. But at the same time, if you could take out like 15 minutes a day to respond to people on whatever platform, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, that would help you, tremendously. And that's not much, 15 minutes a day.
Now, when you say hire someone, are you talking about using things like Fiverr, Upwork, Odesk, things like a virtual assistant, or actually finding and hiring like a PR firm?
So depending on what you're trying to do. So you could, I have not been on Fiverr very recently. I don't think I've been on Fiverr this year now that I think about it. But I'm sure they do have social media managers, but that's what you would want. You would want a social media manager to manage it for you.
And they would basically put out information on a daily basis for you, or are we talking about maybe every other?
Whatever you guys decide upon. Honestly, because like tweets have such a short lifespan, and look at your timeline for Facebook. It moves so quickly. You do need to be on daily.
Now, on your show, the Ask Dr. Renee Show, I see that you have a ton of A-listers on your show, people who are in the music field, people who are in the movie field. How are you able to do it? Like, do you have your own PR agent who is contacting these people, their agents? Like, is this from personal connections? Tell us more about
personal connections. 90% of the people on my show are my friends. The other 10%. Really? Wow. Either a friend who is a publicist was like, can you interview my client? Or they saw the show and asked me, could their client be on? But for the last, we've had 64 episodes. For the 64 we've had, a good part of those people, those are just friends of mine that they were kind enough to do that for me. Like Michelle, which was so nice of her.
You're talking about Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child. Absolutely. And she's just one of in a long slew of A-listers that you've had on your show. Now, how long does it take you to do the show? Do you go through a process of editing, or is it live? Are you using your webcam? Tell us more about the setup with that.
The show is straight webcam. It's live on YouTube. And then, YouTube automatically uploads it immediately. So no editing. It's raw. That's where it is. That's it.
With YouTube, obviously, are you able to get some income from that, or is it just kind of like it's free information that's out there, and then whatever happens afterwards in terms of advertising will come from that? Or
so right now, because YouTube is a numbers game, so we are on the cusp, but I have not received a check yet from YouTube, but I know it's coming soon. Like, my numbers just need to just come over the curve a little bit, and we will be doing that, as well as there's some other things that'll happen with YouTube. Once the numbers get a certain place, I'll be able to have ads in the middle of the show. And so I've already got sponsors that are excited to jump on. I just need to have it so that it's easy for me to seamlessly add them on. So we've already had one company sponsor shows, and we had the ad appear at the beginning, but I don't like the way it appears at the beginning. So I'm trying to wait for us to hit that threshold so then we can put it in the middle.
So look, you have a lot of things going on right now. You have the Ask Dr. Renee Show. You have the multiple blog entries that you're doing on print as well as on TV media. You have clients who you're coaching. How do you manage all of those things, and what do you think about the process of just saying no? Because I'm sure you get so many different things pitched at you. So many people want you to listen to so many different things. Help me with this, help me with that. It has to be kind of hard to juggle all of those things. Have you had to learn to say no, and do you find that to be difficult?
I did learn to say no, because my sister, I call her she's my executive producer of my show, and I call her my CFO because she is the main one. Renee, you can't afford to say yes again. Like, okay. She's like,
does she hit that high of a pitch? Because she's going to listen to this show.
She says, you want to help everybody, but you can't help everybody. She was like, how much is that person paying you? No, you can't do it. I'm like, okay. So I do say no, because there's only so many hours in a day. And at the end of the day, I, like everyone else, would like to get my sleep. I go to sleep a little later than the average bear, but I also don't get up as early as everyone else. So,
Tell us how, on average, what time do you wake up? Be honest.
No, I really probably get up about 8 o'clock.
Okay. All right. I'm down with that.
I usually get about 5 to 6 hours.
Now, are you more of a night person, daytime person?
I am such a night owl, but I function pretty good all day long. So, but I'm such a night owl. I mean, let me tell you, before I get out of bed, I have probably sent like 10 emails from my phone.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can really concentrate at night. I don't know why. During the daytime, I get work done, but just like you, I'm a night owl. I don't know, maybe there's just less distractions at night, but that's my prime time.
Yeah, and I can, and then I'll just sit here with the DVR and just keep going and just the writing and typing and email, whatever I got to do, tweets, whatever I have to do, with the TV in the background.
Now, do you think that in terms of the physician culture, we've reached a tipping point? And what I mean by that is do you think that more physicians are open to considering non-traditional paths? Now, you're on the other side looking, if you were, I guess, to put a border between, non-traditional and traditional, you're on the other side looking in. Do you see more physicians are kind of coming over to your side? You know what?
Like I said, I had that dinner recently, and to my amazement, yes, I couldn't believe it. There was one girl at the table that said she was extremely happy.
Do you think it's possible to do what you do and still have a clinical practice?
Well, I do a whole lot. So for me,
that
would be virtually impossible. For somebody who is only going to maybe just do the media part, easily you could do it. Because obviously you're not on TV every day. You're not on radio every day. You know what I mean? But because I do so much outside of just that, there's no way.
Now, what about med students or even just physicians who are young in their career or maybe even old in their career who are looking at you and looking to do what you do? What's your advice for them?
Try to find somebody because I'm like you said, I don't want to recreate the wheel. So try to find someone that you can, model after. I tell everybody, Lamar Tyler, who was also on my show, he is one of the founders of Black and Married with Kids, one of the places that I have written for. He wrote a book, The Gatekeepers Are Gone. The gatekeepers really are gone. So if you want to
Yes, I have that book, actually.
Yay!
It's a very easy read.
Wasn't it?
Excellent book.
If you want to do something, you can easily find somebody who does it, and you can completely follow what they've done because of the internet and because of social media. And honestly, you'd be surprised if you reach out to people, they might actually respond. Like for me, a lot of those people you see on my show, I met because of Twitter.
Well, that's how we met. I mean, I contacted you through Facebook, and I just threw caution to the wind. I was like, look, I'm just going to contact you and see what happens. And you wrote back to me, and, we are here now. Yeah. So
I mean, literally through Twitter, we became cool. And then as soon as I'm in their city or they're in my city, we connect personally, face to face. And then, the rest is history from there.
Well, we're getting towards the end of the interview, and I just want to ask you some quick, fast questions. You down? Yep. All right. So what's one thing you want listeners to get from this podcast?
That you do not have to only just practice medicine by going to your office every day. And, I heard this story literally last week of, I get up in the morning, I go to the office, I come home, I feed my kids, and that you don't have to have that every day. You can actually do something else and have some spice in your life and still be able to survive.
What can the audience expect from you over the next 10 years?
The Ask Dr. Renee Show on television. I don't know what it'll be called, but
the Ask Dr. Renee Show.
Yeah, I mean, well, the powers that be might decide something different, but Dr. Renee will be on television. I will probably before I have my own show, you will see me sitting in on some other shows very, very soon. Some shows that I'm sure you've heard of. I spent quite a bit of the time in California this year, and we nailed some things down. What else?
Can you see yourself in California?
I didn't, but I told my friend, you have to be careful what you wish for because God will probably answer, and you have to go with the flow. So I'm just grateful that I'm not married. I don't have any children. The only person I have to move is myself, and that I can easily do LA. So
now, do you think in order to get what you want, do you think you have to be out in California, or can you be? You're right now in Chicago, right?
So if I was footing the bill and all of that, a very famous woman, Miss Winfrey, was right here in Chicago. And if you
I've heard of her.
Yeah, and if you've seen anything of my stuff, then you know that I happen to be one of her biggest fans. And
you were on her show.
Exactly. I've spent a little time with Miss Winfrey. So that show was here. Steve Harvey is currently here. So I think we could do it right here. But since I'm not the powers that be that I met with were in California and said, can you come back? And I said, yes. So
now we talked about how busy you are, how your schedule is laid out through the day, and how many different things you have yourself in. What's your best productivity life hack?
Evernote.
Okay.
I am a Virgo. Like I said, I'm a planner. And because of Evernote, I can plan out and I checklist.
Evernote is pretty cool. I'm slowly but surely, going on to the side of using Evernote, because I'm sure you use it on your phone.
Exactly. My phone, my
translates
iPad,
to
and the computer. So we are
all at the same place. Now, is that Evernote, do you use it to kind of just keep your to-do list or to jot down your ideas?
All of the above. So I have a note for each client, has their own note. So then I know exactly what I'm supposed to do for each one. And then I have one for myself even. And then I have like a whole list of people we'd like on the show. And as we pitch to them, I check it off. I say we because, like I said, this is me and my sister. Although I do the pitching, but it's we because it's our show. And I say when they get booked, and even me, I have dreams of places I want to be, different publications I want to be in. And so I'll write that on there, and then I check it off when I book it and say booked. And it's good to go back to because I sit here and I work and I work and I work. At times I feel like I'm not doing anything. But then I'll go back and look at that and see all the things that I've done. And I'm like, oh, I have done some things. So
Yeah, I guess in your line of work, you have to look at what you're able to do a lot differently than what we do in medicine. It's two different things, but you're still getting a lot done. Now, knowing what you know now, let's say you had the big retrospectoscope on, knowing what you know now, you're able to go back 10 years into the past. What kind of advice would Dr. Renee have given to pre-med or even med student Renee Matthews?
I think I would have taken some journalism classes in undergrad. And maybe I would not have majored. So I originally was a chemical engineering major, and then I switched to physiology, and that's what I graduated with. My cousin has a law degree, but she majored in African drum. So maybe I would have majored in public relations or in something in journalism, and then just taken my prereqs for med school and did it that way.
Now, this last quick, fast question is actually it's a statement that I ask all of my guests. It's a statement that acknowledges the fact that you're a physician, but also that you have other things that you're interested in. Okay, so it goes, I'm not just a doc, I'm and it's blank, and that's where I want you to finish and put down what you feel best describes you. So, Dr. Renee Matthews, Dr. Renee, I'm not just a doc, I'm not
just a doc, I'm a media personality.
I love it. Love it. That's an excellent answer. Now, at the end of the show, I always take a moment to acknowledge the physicians that I have on my show, just because I think in general we don't do that enough within the physician world, and just acknowledge people for the great things that they're doing. So I just want to take a moment just to acknowledge you for thinking outside the box, using, your resources and your talents to get by whatever obstacles that you have, and ultimately to live the life that you deserve. That's your hashtag. You haven't stopped there. You give back to your audience with your positivity, your great personality. I love it. It's infectious. Your helpful media topics, and ultimately your commitment to empowering your audience to become entrepreneurs, to grab the life that they want, and ultimately the hashtag live the life they deserve. So, Dr. Renee, thank you very much. I acknowledge you for what you're doing. You're doing great stuff. Thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap, everyone. Episode 12 is officially done. I'm really interested to know what you all thought about that episode. Make sure you hit me up with feedback or your reviews on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. Also, I'm on Google Play. Remember, on iTunes, you can leave me a review. You can also rate me. The more you rate me with your stars, the better my show continues to grow. And the more my show continues to grow, the more I can continue to give you great guests. Also, don't forget you can reach me through Twitter at DocsOTB. You could also hit me up on email at docsotb@gmail.com. I'm also on Instagram, as well as I have a Facebook page, Docs Outside the Box. Well, look, before people keep looking at me all crazy as I'm doing my best Casey Neistat impression, you guys got to see this. I am right next to the express tram in my sunglasses with my laptop on the ground finishing up this podcast. I just got to remember to tell you guys to always live outside the box. Oh, I forgot one thing. For those who have been sending me emails or sending me feedback through Twitter, wondering what week I'm on T25, I had to take a quick step back. I am on week